Well, two events happened in Lagos. You just watched them. One in Abuja, or rather happened in the country. One in Abuja, that's for the president, and another for the All Progressives Congress here in Lagos. Joining us to look at some of the issues making the rounds in the polity is Ismail Ahmed, as a member of the All Progressives Congress. Good morning and thanks for joining us.
Good morning.
Well, let's start with INEC, distribution of the permanent voter cards. You're from Kano State, isn't it? And we'll start from your state and get into Lagos. How would you access that particular exercise?
Abysmal. I think it was a very poor distribution exercise. I still haven't gotten my permanent voter's card yet, and I was in Kano for about 3 days, and I know that of about the 484 wards we have in Kano, I don't think there's been distribution in up to about 200 wards, which is very low. So I think it's a lot of people didn't get it. They said we went to INEC, we tried to complain. They said they're going to redo it again from today. That's Wednesday, the 12th. And in some cases, they've actually complained that the cards were burnt.
Burnt?
Yeah, burnt. That's what they said.
Who burnt them?
I don't know. They said the cards, either the cards were burnt or they were stolen in some cases. In Edo State, I heard a report yesterday that some of the cards were stolen. And there are all kinds of excuses going around.
Is that coming from INEC itself?
Yes, actually it is coming from INEC.
Do you
as disheartening as that sounds.
Does this paint a picture of unpreparedness by INEC? Or do you think they are overwhelmed?
Well, I don't know. I don't think they are overwhelmed. I don't think they are overwhelmed because, like yesterday when Governor Fashola was giving an example, if a bank can give you an ATM card and cash at the same time, you can use an ATM card to withdraw cash within a certain specific days. He doesn't know why a government institution like INEC, with all the resources it has at its disposal, could not do it in 4 years. Just permanent voter's card. I don't even know why it has to take this long to get your permanent voter's card. And besides, I think there's even a legal issue here. The law states that every Nigerian, as long as you're Nigerian within the age to vote or to be voted for, you should be allowed to vote. So if INEC knows that they're going to have a problem with this permanent voter's card, I think the best way to go about it is to allow anybody, whether with a temporary card, because they issue the temporary cards, or the permanent voter's card, to vote on election day. Then we can take care of the permanent voter's card as at when due. But you cannot have it from 2010 to 2014, and it's still at this abysmal level. Some people are not thinking that they are overwhelmed or underwhelmed or whatever. I think there's a general sense and general feeling that there is a deliberate attempt to sabotage this effort.
But
well,
again,
that's what your party is.
REC, sorry, Mark, but the REC has been speaking, already spoke on this, and he tried to put, because now we had to find out what exactly is happening or has happened in Kano State, knowing full well he also gave reasons why there were some hiccups in Lagos State. He talked about the contractor who maybe was overwhelmed by the task given to him or to that particular company. So if you are insinuating that there is something more to it, as a lawyer, I thought you would have been speaking based on some facts on the ground. Do you think that is the case?
I think it's just common sense. If you would have a task that you've already set out to do since 2010 to get the permanent voter's card in people's hands before 2015 elections, nobody asked you for it. You said you wanted to get it done. You asked for money, and I think the federal government provided that amount of money to get the permanent voter's card. And it took you 4 years, and it's still not done properly. And we're just talking about Kano. This is the same thing in Bauchi, when they did in Bauchi. I had reports, and we had a lot of complaints that in Bauchi there were people that couldn't even find their names, and they have their temporary cards in their hands. So there's a complete myriad of problems everywhere you go. And the simple question one would want to ask, it has nothing to do with whether or not you're a lawyer or not. I think it's common sense. If you cannot do it in 4 years, can you do it in 4 days? That's our problem. So of course, because there's a general mistrust about the conduct of INEC over the last, couple of election cycles, then Nigerians can be apprehensive that this could be an actual sabotage. And look at the states that are affected: Lagos, Kano, Edo, Bauchi. these are states with a huge population and voter registration. There's a large voter registration, registered voters, and also they are the dominant places for the opposition parties. So one would want to know why these things are going on the way they are.
So what's the vibe you get in being a party man and not even an ordinary member of your political party? You must have actually written a petition to INEC, and so what's the response from INEC?
We haven't had any written response yet, but this is what I went to INEC in Kano to find out what's going on.
You personally did?
I did, personally.
So?
And then that was the response I got, that there were hiccups here and there. Some of them have been burnt, but all these things are going to restart again from the places that are affected today, the 12th, and then it's going to go through smoothly. That was the promise.
Well, INEC has been in the news, and your party definitely too has been responding to what it's perceived as the shoddy distribution of, the PVC in the states. The party released a statement to that particular effect, and they believe that this is a deliberate plan to ensure that they do not, get victory in 2012. It's surprising, though. I'm wondering if INEC has sent a response back saying that this is not the situation, a formal response perhaps to your party or a press release. I'm yet to see any of that, but I'm just wondering if as a party you have received any response in response to the letter that you people put out there.
I don't know about that yet. I don't know if there's any formal response yet. I don't know.
Okay, but yesterday again, INEC came out to say that they have put aside the plan to create 30,000 new polling units. What were your thoughts when you heard about the 30,000 new polling units, and now what is your thought concerning the fact that they've made a U-turn on that?
Well, I don't want to get into the mechanics of whether or not we need more polling units or not, and I think it became a very sensitive political issue. It became a political shitstorm after some time. I was convinced with the reasons why they wanted to make out more polling units, because there are large concentration of voters in certain places. That was what they said. And then they had to create more polling units. Those were their excuses. Nobody asked for it. We didn't write that we wanted it. Nobody asked for it. They thought that it was necessary on their own to do it. Now, if they are backtracking because of any political stuff that came out of it, then, that's their prerogative. As far as we're concerned, I know from 2010 to now, the last time we had voter registration, there might be an incremental level of people that have gone into the voting bracket, age bracket for voters, and they would want to exercise their franchise this time around. So I think the general rule is that 500 per polling unit. I think it shouldn't be more than that. If there's need for them to increase it, fine. If there's no need, we are ready to go, even the way it is as 2010. So well, okay.
Nothing controversial in that. But, a lot of people say it's a political season, no doubt. INEC has said it's okay to campaign, and of course all parties are on the field right now, campaigning, doing there. Yesterday we saw the declaration of the president. You were you're in Lagos because of the youth summit you're holding here in Lagos. In the meantime, this is happening in the midst of grave insecurity in some parts of the country, and some people are saying, how can politicians go about or go ahead with this when this situation also seems to be happening in the Northeast? Are those people or other parts of Nigeria as well?
You see, the declaration galore of the president yesterday, I personally...
This is not just about the declaration of the president.
Yes, I'm going to go to everybody. But he's the president, and he's in charge of the country, and he's the commander-in-chief. So the security is the primary responsibility of a government, not of opposition, of a government, first and foremost. So he has to be at the crosshairs right now. I would have loved to see the president declaring his assets, not declaring his ambition. You don't run to where you are. You only run from where you are. The president's already sitting on the throne. Would have loved to see him declaring his assets. I'm sure Nigerians would have been more interested in that. Would have loved to see him declare war on terror. Would have loved to see him declare emergency in the power sector, or so many other things that needs declaration of the government, and not his ambition to run for president. We already know that. PDP had already endorsed him. But for other people, for the opposition figures that were declaring their ambition, because these are people that are not on the throne right now, and they're saying that, look, with all what is happening right now. And in the last 5-6 years, this country could have done better. It could have moved from point A to point B, and it hasn't. This is what we have as plans to move you away from this lethargy of complete chaos that we're in right now, and to move you to another sector. Now, looking at the grave security situation in this country, Mubi is gone, literally, because I saw a video, I don't know how to, I saw a video of Abubakar Shekau now giving a sermon in a mosque, well dressed, in Mubi supposedly. Maiha was yesterday gone. Gulag are all forgone issues. In fact, I saw a report on social media, I don't know how true that is, that the Chief of Defense Staff was crying out that his family are now in the Islamic Caliphate. If that report on social media is so, it's true, that it actually came from the Chief of Defense Staff, which means he has agreed and accepted and conceded that there is an Islamic Caliphate that has been taken out of the territories in Nigeria. You know what someone told me this morning while I was coming here? He said, we gave President Jonathan in 2011 a country in one piece. If he's going to give it back to us in 2015, he's going to give it to us in a little pieces, because we have territories right now that are not under Nigerian complete control. And we have seen the military and the SSS and government institutions that are supposed to be in charge of our security churn out all kinds of statements and releases about Shekau is dead, this is happening, and then we see the contrary on videos and on YouTubes. So there has been a growing trend in this country that Nigerians have completely lost confidence in the government's ability to take care of them.
But it was...
and then you still see a president running around and saying that he's declined for a second term. I mean, seriously?
Well, I actually wanted to go back into, sorry Mark, but into so many other issues. Recall before it degenerated into all of this, there was some kind of relative success by the military, and until we heard about an alleged ceasefire deal between us, and that's the country, and Boko Haram. And I recall on that day I had the privilege of being on the news, and I had an expert, Professor Femi Degbulu, who said, well, this might be just to buy time by the insurgents before we saw the onslaught, the renewed violence on the people. What do you think happened to that particular ceasefire, which was well, declared by the government some weeks ago?
We only heard one side of the story. The government came back and said that they had a ceasefire deal in Saudi Arabia with the insurgents. We are not privileged to know anything other than that. But the government has been saying a lot of things. That's what I just said. And then the next minute, the government will say this, and the next minute there's something entirely different.
Beyond the saying, I mean, Sulaiman talked about the fact that we saw some relative successes by the military and the security operatives in the Northeast. There were some relative. I mean, at the point they were able to move them out, I mean, almost leaving Mubi, got back 70% of the territory. What do you think is happening here? Is it that the military's lost their strength, or is the re-strategizing by Boko Haram taking an adverse effect on the Nigerian military?
God bless the military. I think we should all commend the Nigerian military or the armed forces for the successes or even the defeat that they have suffered. It cannot be due to their doing. I have relations in Nigeria and the military and the armed forces, and at a point in time there was one of them that was deployed to, I think, Bama or somewhere, and then we kept praying, having vigil overnight to see that he came back up. So God bless the Nigerian military, and we hope they will have success entirely in this thing. But you see, what is lacking is not, in our own view, what is lacking is not whether or not the military are out there doing a good job. It's whether the political commanders have enough political will on their side, and genuine concern enough to uproot this evil. Military successes are there, but the ultimate strategy, I think, has been, if we get a military success and then the next minute we're having all this chaos now turning to the whole bottom gets loose, then you would wonder, Has it been well thought through out? I don't know. I'm not a military strategist, I'm not a commander, but I don't know.